Hi, I'm Matt from SpeakPrac, and I recently scored a perfect Band 9 for the real IELTS speaking test. So if you're struggling with the IELTS speaking test or your score, then I know exactly what you're going through. But more importantly, I know how to fix it. If you're watching this, chances are you're frustrated. Maybe you've taken the IELTS speaking test multiple times and you're still stuck at a band 5 or 6, even though you know you're a lot better than that. Maybe your friends say your English is so great, but the IELTS speaking examiner just doesn't agree. You're not alone. I hear this all the time, and that's why I created this Ultimate IELTS English Speaking course. And particularly this video where I'll explain why it can happen that you think you deserve a much higher score, but you keep getting a low IELTS speaking band. I'll break down the 5 most common IELTS speaking mistakes that keep dragging that score down. Plus, I'll share how you can fix them, step by step. Just so you know, this lesson is part of the Ultimate IELTS English Speaking course, and yes, the entire course is for free. You can find the central hub at speakprac.com/IELTS speaking course, and the link is on the screen and in the description. You can find resources, course details, and everything organized all there. The hidden problem. Exam brain. Before we get into the specific mistakes, I need to explain something that most IELTS teachers don't even talk about. I call it exam brain. Imagine you're at a coffee shop with a friend, chatting about your weekend plans. You're relaxed, you're laughing, using natural expressions, maybe even making jokes. Your English flows effortlessly. But the moment you sit down across from that IELTS examiner, something switches in your brain. Suddenly, you're not just speaking English anymore, you're performing it. And that's where everything goes wrong. This exam brain phenomenon is the root cause of all 5 mistakes we're about to discuss. It's like your brain decides that normal, natural English isn't good enough for the test, so it tries to create this artificial, test-worthy version of English. But here's the thing. The examiners don't want artificial. They want authentic. Mistake 1. The formality trap. The first common mistake in the IELTS speaking test is what I call the formality trap. This happens when exam brain convinces you that you need to sound extremely formal and precise. Let me give you an example. In normal conversation, if someone asks, "What's your job?" you might say, "Oh, I work in marketing. It's pretty stressful, but I love the creative side." It's natural, right? But in the IELTS speaking test, exam brain kicks in and suddenly you're saying something like this. "I am currently employed in the field of marketing and advertising. This occupation presents numerous challenges. However, I find great satisfaction in the creative aspects of my professional responsibilities." Can you hear the difference? The second version sounds like it was written by a computer trying to sound human. The examiner has heard this robotic speech pattern hundreds of times, and it screams, "I'm not comfortable with English. I'm just reciting memorized phrases." The irony is that your natural conversational English is actually much more impressive than this formal robot speak. Native speakers don't talk like walking dictionaries. They use contractions. They pause naturally. They show emotion in their voice. Here's what you should do instead. Trust your natural speaking style. The examiner wants to have a conversation with you, not listen to a speech. Use contractions like "I'm" instead of "I am." Show enthusiasm when talking about things you enjoy. and let your personality shine through. Practice is really key here to sounding natural in IELTS speaking. While mirror practice helps build confidence, the problem can be that it lacks feedback. And that's where our app shines and why I helped to create it. It lets you record, get a transcript, and receive instant feedback on fluency, vocab, and grammar. It'll help you speak naturally in your own comfortable space. You'll see progress over time, so you can target those areas to improve. Make sure to check it out because I really believe that it can help you if you feel awkward and you want a private environment where you can practice on your own. Now, I really want you to remember this. Fluency doesn't mean using the most complex words possible. It means communicating your ideas smoothly and naturally. Mistake 2, the stress response. This brings us to the second major mistake, the stress response. This is when you become so anxious about avoiding any mistakes that you actually create more problems. Here's how it typically plays out. The examiner asks you a simple question like, do you enjoy cooking? But instead of giving a quick, natural response, your exam brain starts overthinking everything. You're mentally checking your grammar, searching for impressive vocabulary, making sure your pronunciation is crystal clear. Meanwhile, there's this awkward silence growing in the room. Ooh, it's so silent in here. Finally, you deliver this overcrafted response that took way too long to produce, and the examiner is sitting there thinking, why did such a simple question take so long to answer? Now, I once had a student who could chat with me for hours about her travels using rich vocabulary and complex grammar naturally. But in practice tests, she would pause for 10 to 15 seconds before every answer. Even for questions like, where are you from? She was so afraid of making a mistake that she forgot to actually communicate. The truth is, native speakers make small grammar mistakes all the time in conversation. They stumble over words, they restart sentences, they use and occasionally. What they don't do is pause for ages to mentally edit every sentence before speaking. So what's the solution to all this? Give yourself permission to be imperfect. It's better to speak naturally with a few minor errors than to speak like a hesitant robot with perfect grammar. The examiner would much rather having a flowing conversation with small mistakes than a stilted interview with long pauses. Mistake 3, the vocabulary show-off. Now let's talk about this mistake, which is closely linked to the other common mistakes in IELTS speaking. The vocabulary show-off. This happens when you think you need to use the most advanced, sophisticated vocabulary possible to express the examiner. You want every single word to be long and intelligent. But here's what actually happens. You end up using words incorrectly or in unnatural contexts, which has the opposite effect. Let me share a real example. A student once told me about his hometown by saying, "My residential locality possesses numerous recreational establishments and commercial edifices that facilitate social congregation and economic transactions." Wow. Now, technically, most of those words are used correctly, sure, but no native English speaker would ever describe their hometown that way. Come on. It sounds like he swallowed a thesaurus. Now, I like using big words too, to sound smart from time to time, yes, but people, let's try to communicate with each other and ensure that our messages are clear. What he should have said was something like, my hometown has lots of great restaurants and shops where people like to hang out. The second version is much more natural. It's easier to understand and actually shows better English skills because it demonstrates that he can communicate clearly and effectively. Here's the key insight. For band 7 to 8 scores or more, accuracy matters more than complexity. The examiner would rather hear you use common words correctly than advanced words incorrectly. Think about it this way. If you were talking to a friend and they constantly and unnecessarily used complex words in weird contexts, you'd think they were trying too hard, right? Yeah, wow. The IELTS examiner feels the same way. Instead of hunting for impressive vocab, focus on expressing your ideas clearly and accurately. Use the words that feel natural to you. If you happen to know a more advanced English word and it fits naturally, then great, but don't force it. Mistake 4, the overthinking loop. The fourth mistake is what I call the overthinking loop. This is when you treat every IELTS question like it's a university essay prompt that requires deep philosophical analysis. Wow. I see this especially in part 1 of the speaking test. The examiner here will ask something straightforward like, do you prefer tea or coffee? And some students will sit there thinking intensely as if they're about to solve world hunger with their answer. Here's what happens in their mind. Okay, this question, it seems too simple. There must be a deeper meaning here. Maybe I should discuss the cultural significance of both beverages, or analyze the health benefits, or create a complex comparison of flavor profiles. Meanwhile, the examiner is just waiting for a simple, natural response like, I'm definitely a coffee person. I can't function in the morning without my cappuccino. I do enjoy tea sometimes in the evening though. It's more relaxing. The IELTS speaking test isn't measuring how intellectually deep your answers are. It's measuring how well you can communicate in English. A simple, fluent, natural answer will always score higher than a complex, overthought response that takes forever to deliver. This is especially important in part 1, where the questions are made to be conversation starters, not debate topics. The examiner wants to see that you can engage in casual small talk, the kind of chat you might have with a colleague by the coffee machine or an acquaintance at the bus stop. Here's a practical tip. If you find yourself thinking for more than 2 to 3 seconds about a part 1 IELTS speaking question, then you're overthinking it. Go with your first instinct and expand naturally as you speak. Mistake 5, the robot voice. The final mistake is the robot voice. This happens when you become so focused on pronouncing every single word perfectly, clearly, that you actually sound unnatural and you miss the bigger picture of pronunciation. Students with this robot voice problem speak very slowly and clearly, making sure every word is perfectly pronounced. They think this sort of speaking will get them a high pronunciation score, but it actually does the total opposite. Here's why. Real English pronunciation isn't about individual word clarity. It's about rhythm, flow, stress patterns, and intonation. When you speak unnaturally slow and clearly, you lose all of those natural features. Think about how native English speakers actually talk. They link words together. They stress important words while quickly passing over less important ones. Their voice goes up and down naturally. This is what the examiner wants to hear, not word by word pronunciation that sounds like you're reading a shopping list. I had a student who was so focused on clarity that he pronounced every syllable equally, making comfortable sound like comfortable instead of the natural comfortable. His pronunciation of the individual sounds in the word was perfect, but he sounded robotic. Instead of focusing on crystal clarity, work on natural speech patterns. Listen to how native speakers connect their words, where they put stress in sentences, how their voice rises and falls. This will make you sound much more fluent and natural. The devastating impact on your IELTS speaking score. Now let me show you how these exam brain symptoms directly translate to lower band scores. When you have the stress response and mistakes, you end up with lower grammar and vocabulary scores. The formality trap and overly formal language leads to lower fluency and natural communication scores. When you have the overthinking loop and hesitation, you'll get lower fluency scores. The vocabulary show-off and inappropriate, complex vocabulary, well, you'll get lower vocabulary scores as a result. And finally, when you have the robot voice and unnatural pronunciation, well, that's the final blow, and you'll get lower pronunciation scores too. Even if you're strong in some areas, these issues can drag your overall IELTS speaking score down to that frustrating IELTS band 5 or 6 plateau. You might be excellent at grammar in writing, but when exam brain kicks in during speaking, those stress-induced mistakes start piling up. You could have great vocabulary for reading, but using words inappropriately in speaking actually hurts your score. This is why so many students tell me, I don't understand why my speaking score is so much lower than my other skills. Well, it's not because your English isn't good enough. It's because exam brain is sabotaging your natural abilities. And that right there is the most important takeaway. Your English may not be the problem. The pressure is the problem. Once you learn to let go of that pressure and trust your natural voice, you'll discover the truth that I build my entire teaching philosophy on. Anyone can speak English, and that means you too. You just have to get out of your own way. So there you have it, the 5 hidden mistakes that are probably holding back your IELTS speaking score. The stress response, formality trap, vocabulary show-off, the overthinking loop, and the robot voice. The common thread of all of these is they all come from exam brain. That mental switch that makes you think you need to speak differently in a test than you would in real life. But the examiner wants to hear the real you, not some artificial test version of you. As you continue your IELTS journey, remember that this video is part of the Ultimate IELTS English Speaking course, and it's completely free. The course hub page for this is at speakprac.com/IELTS Speaking course. There you'll find the course structure, video lessons, as well as other resources that can help you. Check out the link in the description below as well as on screen right now. Now, if you're thinking, oh, this is helpful, but I still don't understand what the IELTS speaking test is all about, don't worry, I'll help you. In my next video, I'll share what the IELTS speaking test is, how it's structured, and what IELTS speaking examiners are really looking for. You can't truly avoid those common mistakes without understanding what the test is designed to measure in the first place. And that's what that next video is all about. It's the foundation that will make sure everything clicks into place. So click on the video on the screen or in the description, and I'll see you there.